Yes guys, Jacob here from Bet with Jacob. How are you all going? This video is being done by popular demand from our subscribers and from the general public. We are going to be posting weekend previews of the sports and weekend reviews. We're going to start off with a weekend review today from our members' point of view. So if you aren't a member, I'll leave a link to our website up in the description there and you can go check it out. But if you're not a member here, you can see what we're all about. And to the members that have come and joined here, we're just going to be doing a big recap today of the weekend and the results and our bets that we did place on through our service. So we will just start into it and we'll start straight into the NRL in Friday night up here. And it was the Sea Eagles who did obliviate the Roosters, which we did expect this game to be a high scoring game. But there just wasn't a lot of value in the market. The bookies seemed to get the odds right for most of the bets that were placed by us were for value. There wasn't a lot that there was distinctly out of line. I think the bookmakers got spot on. We weren't able to convert any. One that we sent out two bets. The first one was a BYO from Sportsbet. Any winger to score the first try in 15-minute period. So the wingers didn't have to score the first try. They just had to score a try in the first 15 minutes, which didn't come through. Tom Trbojevic actually went over, and that was the only try in the first 15 minutes. He could have passed it to Ruben Garrick on the wing, but he decided to go himself, which unfortunately left us high and dry in that scenario. But we did have a same-game multi on for that one for 3 try scorers, which was Tom Trbojevic, Jason Saab, and Ruben Garrick. Unfortunately, didn't convert on that one either, only resulting in a bonus bet back for members. So it was a bit of a tricky night to navigate, but it's just one we just have to look and move on from. So our next game we got here for the NRL is the Panthers versus the Eels. And another one that I think the bookies kind of got quite right. But I just don't think this was the result I wasn't expecting, me personally myself. And a lot of my members didn't think either that was going to happen. 8-6 the final result. It was a very tight game, but not only tight, it felt like it was a very slow-paced game from both teams. And just watching this game made me believe that whoever was going to come up against Melbourne next week was going to be absolutely obliterated. And I think that they are going to be smashed this week by Melbourne. Penrith, I just think with the injury list they've got, I just can't see him getting over the line against Melbourne. And we'll talk more about that in our preview later on during the week. In terms of our bets, we couldn't capitalise on any bets. Again, we were going for value. The market got it quite correct. 0 from 3 on the NRL there. But they were only small unit bets, so we weren't too worried about them. So let's now jump into the EPL, where our first game, and this was the only game I didn't watch of the week, which was actually Newcastle versus Leeds. And this is a game that it was well for us. Just was a bit interesting because I did expect this result to come out. And we did have some small plays on them. Patrick Bamford being the most obvious player for us that we sent out through here to score a goal, and he just didn't get on the score sheet. He had lots of chances, just could not find the back of the net. We did also have a same game multi there that did convert at 2-1, which we had 4 units on, which was absolutely fantastic. Members did convert on that one. That was the first one to really get us started for the weekend, but it really only got better for us there as we jump into our next game, and that was Brentford versus Wolves. I don't want to be start on a dire note, but this was probably our worst game of the weekend. It's just one we got completely wrong. We had Wolves to win 0 and Brentford won 2-0. And watching this game myself, it just made me come to the conclusion that Wolves' attack isn't what we thought it would be at the beginning of the season. We thought that Wolves were going to be this slick offensive team that can counter on the break and score plenty of goals this season. But what we've found is that not only are Wolves not being able to convert any chances at all, when the play is switched and when they get counted on, that's when they concede the goals and ultimately lose games. And we've seen that during this year. For the first 5 rounds, we've seen them concede goals off stupid set pieces that have come from plays from the opposite end of the field through a counter attack, and we've seen them concede penalties and set pieces all because they were on the attack and then the counter attack come back. And it's just something that Wolves are going to need to work on themselves to really back themselves here as a team to make it into the top 6, because that is their ultimate goal at the end of the year. Wolves is to make the top 6 and to obviously get Europa League for next year. But it's looking very difficult at the moment with results like a 2-0 loss to Brentford at home as well. When we do look at our bets here, we did send out three bets. Wolves to win to nil. Raul Jimenez 2 shots on target. And might I add, Raul Jimenez is actually leading the competition before today in shots on target in the box. That's why we had a massive play on him there. When I say massive play, I had 2-unit play, but it was just a confident play, and we didn't end up converting on that one. And Raul Jimenez didn't actually have a shot on target the whole game. And in fact, Wolves didn't have a shot on target all game as a whole. They had 11 shots on target, failing to even hit the keeper at any given time. But the one that got us over the line was over 3.5 cards, which was paying $1.91. We had 2.25 units on. We did end up getting the chocolates on that one. It ended up being about a 7-card game with a red card for Brentford in the end. Now, as we go to our next game here, which is Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. A tough one as well to kind of unpick. We did have a same game multi that got up for members paying $2.10. We had 3.5 units on that. That one smashed. The one we didn't grab ourselves on was Arsenal to get the corner handicap of 2 corners more than Burnley. It was a disappointing result on that one, because the goal, we expected the goal to come in the second half for us, and we didn't expect them to get a goal this early. And we knew what was going to happen with Arsenal is that the longer the game went on without them scoring the goal, the more Burnley's going to push back and just hold off Arsenal's pressure, which was going to result in plenty of corners for Arsenal. But actually the opposite happened, where Arsenal scored early and it was Burnley putting the pressure to try and score a goal, and Arsenal were holding back and parking the bus, happy to concede corners and set pieces near the touchline, which was really the opposite of what we were hoping for. But that early goal kind of put us in a tricky situation, but we did end up making a profit through that game. So the next game here, I'm just trying to get it up here. We have Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. And this one here as well, it was a game that really didn't look like it was going to be a 3-0 game until the last 15 minutes. And Crystal Palace seemed to be in it in the first half until Sadio Mane scored in the 43rd minute. And if Mane doesn't score in the 43rd minute, for me, I think it's a different second half. Crystal Palace don't need to chase the game. They don't need to make that halftime substitution to try and bring on a bit more of an attacking threat. But yes, we did have our best bet of the day actually come up, and that was Liverpool to win to nil. Even though they were a bit rocky at the back, Liverpool, they seemed to just get it done, and Alisson had a fantastic game. He really kept the minute and kept our best bet of the day alive. One that we were really confident about, and it was our value bet of the day that we didn't actually convert on, and which we were so close to converting on at 12-1. We did actually send this out as the value bet of the day, with Liverpool 1 goal in each half, which we got, Liverpool 3 corners in each half, which we got, and Crystal Palace 1 card in each half, which we didn't get. Crystal Palace didn't get a card in the first half, and boy oh boy was I not impressed by the refereeing in the first half, because Crystal Palace should have at least had 3 cards in the first half. I was not happy about it. I was talking to a couple of members about it. They weren't happy about it. But that's just the type of thing we just have to move on from as we move into our next one, which is Manchester City 0, Southampton 0. Probably the biggest surprise of the weekend. If you're a neutral or any type of football supporter, you would come to assume that Man City should be comfortably winning this game. And to make matters even worse for Manchester City, they only had one shot on target the entire game with a total of 16 shots. So they were only converting a shot on target about 4% of the time. Not even the bottom teams in the competition are converting at 4% a game. So that's not a good look for Manchester City. Pep needs to do a bit of work during the week, especially with the EFL Cup coming up tomorrow morning. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up playing a strong squad to try and get that attacking threat. We have sent out some tips for that game tomorrow morning. But it's going to be very interesting to see if Pep Guardiola decides to go for a strong team to try and get some goals in the back end there, or try and rest some players. And maybe that is the issue for Pep Guardiola. Who knows? Time will tell, really. But we did manage to get one of the two bets we sent out for that one, the over 10 corners, which it resulted in 13 corners. So we smashed that one there. We couldn't get the BYO, which was paying $9. We had one unit on because Manchester City couldn't score any goals, which was a bit of a bummer. But we move on to our next game, which is Watford versus Norwich, which happened to be our most profitable game over the weekend. Watford 3, Norwich City 1, as I'm getting up my notes here for this game. We did have the upset in Watford to win. I just do not know, for starters, how they were the outside favourites to win this game. At $3.40 we got them. We put in 2 units on them and made a great return on them. I couldn't imagine that Watford, with how they're performing this season, were paying $3.40 against a team who was struggling to score 2 goals this entire season, hadn't even looked like winning a game this year. And even though Norwich City had some previous history against Watford, everything in the data was pointing towards Watford, and my gut instinct was pointing towards Watford as well. So we decided to capitalise on that. And then we looked at the data and said that Watford, when they play teams in the bottom 6, always seem to have goals. And then we kept looking into the data and we saw that most of the games are having 3 to 4 goals, and which this game did. So we did end up capitalising as well on our second bet we took for that game, which was the over 2.5 goals, which again, the bookies put at an overs price of $2.14, which is very high for an over 2.5 goals market, which we're very happy about getting. And our next game here, and it was the game that I thought could go either way, and it was Aston Villa 3, Everton 0. Everton, without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, really seemed to struggle going forward. I know Demarai Gray is in fact in form, and we did send out a really, really late bet for him to get 2 shots on target with his left peg, which was paying a whopping 67-1. He had his chances to shoot on his left. He did cross it across the byline a few times. Hearts in mouth stuffs there, but we did end up tipping the draw. We just didn't know which way to go with this game, and we saw that the history was there for the draw. I just thought Everton would be able to just get a goal and try and hold out the back of the game. I thought Aston Villa would be happy with the draw as well, but it looked that way until 3 goals came in the space of 9 minutes for Aston Villa, which is absolutely not what you want to see if you are backing a draw. The game was pretty much a write-off after that second goal. And yeah, we could not capitalise on that game because Everton really just couldn't find their feet at all during that game, and it was something for us to learn from as well when it comes to a big striker being out for such a small team. We probably should have looked a bit harder into that game. But now we move to the final night of EPL, and which was probably one of the wildest roller coasters of a night. And in terms of these games, we had an 11 o'clock game, which was Brighton versus Leicester City. We took Leicester City to come out here at $2.80, and they didn't end up getting the win. But what I did see is that I saw that Brighton have got it this year. This is the biggest learning curve for me this weekend, is that Brighton have got it this year. They've got what they need to keep moving forward, and they will, in my eyes, be a top 8 squad and maybe be pushing for Europa League. When it comes to Leicester City, they hold the possession so well for the game, and there's that final ball in, which was really disappointing to see, and they just could not convert chances. But when chances did come to Brighton, they just ended up taking them. But we did end up getting a same game multi on that, paying 2-1, which we had 2 units on as well. We ended up nailing that one. I haven't also been saying a lot of the bets that we have been getting up, by the way. I've just been talking about the review, which I'm sorry about. But yeah, so it wasn't the game for us when it comes to Leicester versus Brighton. But we move on now to Manchester United 2, West Ham 1. Cristiano Ronaldo and Jesse Lingard scoring, and Said Bedrama scoring for West Ham. And the bet that we sent out that was probably our most confident bet was Manchester United to win and both teams to score. And boy, was that a sweat. We had to sweat that one out real hard. This game should have been 7-1 to Manchester United, but credit to Fabianski. I mean, he has just kept them in the game the entire game until the 90th minute, when Jesse Lingard steps up and puts one straight into the top corner. Absolute heartbreak for West Ham, as Jesse Lingard was one of their players last season. But to be fair to Lingard, he didn't celebrate, which was a great sign of respect for me personally watching the game. But the highlight of the game actually came in the second half when West Ham were awarded a 95th minute penalty, to which they brought on Mark Noble, who had not touched the ball the entire game. They just brought him on to take the penalty. And I think this is a really poor piece of coaching from... I can't even think of the manager right now. I just think it's a really poor bit of coaching. To bring on a player who hasn't touched the ball, all the pressure is on you. The entire stadium is watching you to score this penalty. And I think that it was a really, really silly act. There was lots of players on that field that could have taken that penalty, who had the attacking threat to take that penalty. But as a result, David De Gea made his first save in 4 seasons of the Premier League, which was absolutely fantastic for us. But one I was most disappointed about was the second half handicap. We did take for Man United to win the second half by 2 goals or more. And boy, should they have won by 7 goals or more in the second half. Ronaldo had about 3 chances he should have put in the back of the net. There was corners that they should have put in the net. And it was just a tough one to take. Another one of those ones where it could have gone either way, but it didn't. And as we go to our final game for the round, which was Chelsea 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, a fantastically deserved result for Chelsea. We did take Chelsea to win by 2 goals or more, which they did quite comfortably in the end. At first, I thought that bet was in trouble, but it wasn't until half-time, after they come out half-time and Thiago Silva scored, did I think that we were going to get it. I thought the second goal was coming, and N'Golo Kante ended up getting the deflection that got us the goal in the end, which was very good for us, and Antonio Rudiger with a coolly calm finish into the bottom corner to make it 3-0 Chelsea. And again, this is another testament to Thomas Tuchel for his fantastic coaching of Chelsea. And I just don't see them being beaten. I can't see them being beaten this year. It's going to be very difficult to beat a Chelsea squad, and their biggest test will be at 9:30 on Saturday night between Chelsea and Manchester City. But that is our wrap for this weekend. Now, it was obviously a little bit of a rushed review here, a 20-minute review of the games. I will be getting up a nice setup for this sort of thing, and we will be doing a preview this weekend, but I want to see your guys' feedback. If you have made it to this far, let us know your feedback down in the comments, and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, because we are going to be doing a review like we're doing right now, and a preview for our weekend tips and insights, so you don't want to miss anything else. On that note, we will see you later on in the week for our weekend preview. But that's all for today. Goodbye.